Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Yeah, Kevin Wildes with a pick that we'll never get to. Hang on one sec. Jenna Wolf, Nick Wright, Chris Broussard is with us because we are at the mercy when we do these studio shows of the omnipresent, ever grand Wi-Fi, and our guy Brandon Marshall's Wi-Fi on day 2 went out. So he's racing to his studio. He will be joining us as quickly as he can get himself mic'd up. But Broussard, thank you so much for stepping up, stepping in. We appreciate it. And because of that, we will start with Nick's Lakers this morning, just so you can get a little noogie.
Not my Lakers. America's Lakers. So let's go ahead and do that. America's Lakers were in the bubble for Blazers, Lakers, and really, let's be honest, just Lakers, quieting anyone who doubted them with a 43-point first quarter. LeBron had 30 and 10 assists. AD added 18. He left in the third quarter with back spasms, but he says he's fine. As for the Blazers, it was another tough game for them. Dame Lillard finishing with 11 points before he had to leave in the third with a knee injury, awaiting MRI results on that. Lakers get the win. They now take a 3-1 series lead. We'll get to the Lakers, but Nick, let's focus on Portland to start. Do you think this so-called magical Blazers run is essentially over after they now find themselves in a 3-1 hole to the Lakers?
Yes, it's over, and if we're being honest, it ended when the playoffs started. Now, listen, this is all the commentary here kind of has a sour taste because we don't know if Damian Lillard is seriously injured, and so all of us hope that MRI comes back clean and that he's able to start the following season totally healthy, and you can see what this Blazers team can be. But the Cinderella run ended, honestly, after the first quarter of Game 1 of this series. And Wildes, it is to me incredibly telling how desperately and how badly America and so much of the media wants to be able to put a fork in LeBron James, that it took one bad quarter. That's all the Lakers have done in this series. The first quarter of Game 1, outscored 36-25. They've run the Blazers off the court in the ensuing 15 quarters. But that one bad quarter, we're like, well, you know, this Blazers team's actually a 3 or a 4 seed. That Lakers offense, Wildes, you were arguing, might be the worst, certainly in the bubble, maybe in NBA history. And is this the year LeBron realizes what the West is like? Is this the year LeBron loses in the first round? It was one bad quarter. It was one bad quarter to open the postseason. And since then, as some of us have said, what you have seen is the full force of playoff LeBron, and the full force of playoff LeBron Wildes means if you don't have a super team, you are drawing dead.
Okay, a few things. One, just for the record, Wildes wasn't arguing that the Lakers were struggling on offense. They were. That's just the facts. And Nick, all of a sudden, it's a new thing with him. He likes to break down the game by quarters like it's the All-Star game. Like, you won game 1. You won the first quarter. Every time we're having a discussion, we're talking about quarters. The Lakers lost game 1. The Blazers looked good, but you know what, Broussard? They're cooked. They're cooked. And I think it's win the bubble, lose the war. And there was once, but they started out 10-0. I was like, ooh, I might send Nick that white flag emoji. Like, it's like, let me hold off. Let me go walk the dog. And then I saw this play, the LeBron chase down to the Kuzma 3 in the corner. And I'm like, you know what? They're done. They're done. They're cooked. They're out of gas. And they've been down. I saw Barkley after the game was like, give them credit. They stayed in it. Look at this play. LeBron, this is a classic chase down block. Now the Blazers are like, we're supposed to be fighting for our lives here, Broussard. Okay, just whenever you want to hit it. Oh, went in. All right, good job. That's when I realized they were cooked. Oh, that's what I read. But that's an intensity thing. That's an energy thing. And Barkley gave them credit for fighting back. But look, game 2, they were down 33. Game 3, they were down 14. And last night, they were down 38. So, look, I think that this is, and I'm not taking anything away from the Lakers, but the Blazers are cooked. They peaked early, and now we're seeing where they are. And to be honest with you, Broussard, you don't have to address this right away. Would you rather be the Suns or the Blazers headed into the offseason? Suns left the bubble feeling great. The Blazers are going to leave down 4-1 to the Lakers. It's a wrap on me.
Well, quickly, I'll answer that. I'd rather be the Blazers. The Blazers still have talent. They still can build on what they did in the bubble. And this is who they are. This is why Nick and myself and most logical and sane people predicted that the Lakers would take them out. Now, I actually gave Portland an extra game. Looks like they'll go down in 5. I gave them 6 games. But the bottom line is I gave very little chance to upset the Lakers. Damian Lillard, even at his best, was overmatched. Damian Lillard is not the equivalent of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And I think at the beginning of the game yesterday, you saw that Portland's heart was taken. That's why that play you just showed where there was no hustle, it was a wide-open corner 3, is because their heart was taken. You could see it in their eyes. Now, Nick, of course, went overboard. America does not want to see LeBron James lose his throne. I would argue that America would love to see LeBron get his 4th title with his 3rd team in the year that Kobe Bryant had that tragic passing with the Lakers. So I don't think America wants to see LeBron lose. That's where I think you went a bit overboard. And you also, like Wild said, this quarter breakdown, stop it. The Blazers beat the Lakers in game 1. Not just in the first quarter.
Yeah, because of the first. Yes, just in the first quarter.
It was a full game. They were better for the game.
I understand.
Who won?
No, of course, because the first quarter is part of the game. We don't have to relitigate game 1. But the Blazers won the first quarter 36-25, lost the rest of the game 75-64. My point is the Lakers played one horrendous quarter. They played one horrendous quarter, and people wanted to write them off. But be very careful here. Be very, very careful of the narrative shift. Because this is a story we have seen before. The Blazers, and you might say America was rooting for LeBron to get his 4th ring, but the media at large certainly isn't. You mentioned Charles Barkley, Wilds. I love Chuck. I think Chuck's almost assuredly the most famous person that occasionally watches this show. So what up, Chuck? Our friend Charles Barkley. But on his list of bad predictions, this might be the single worst one ever. And the narrative shift is going to be this. The Blazers are going to quickly go from, in segments of the media, a team that actually should have been a 3 or a 4 seed, a legitimate danger to the Lakers, and if they get out of the first round, a contender for the conference finals, to they were below 500 and just happy to be there. And we have seen this narrative shift, not shockingly, with a half-dozen teams that LeBron has dispatched in his career. In 2018, with that terrible Cavs team, that was the year. The 1-seed Raptors are dangerous. They're seasoned. They're ready. The Cavs had just gone 7 with the Pacers. That was the year the Raptors were the favorites in the series. And then they got swept. Go back. Do you remember the 60-win Hawks? Oh, you got 5 guys with that Cavs team that was in disarray with David Blatt. We can go further back. Do you remember Joe Johnson, Darren Williams, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Brook Lopez? That was a dangerous Nets team. Or the Bulls with Derrick Rose. All those teams were considered real threats. Then LeBron beats them in 5 or less, and history rewrites it as his easy paths, that those teams were never a threat. In the moment, folks have been trying to create hurdles that don't actually exist. And we don't have to go back far. 5 days ago, Jenna, folks went all over television and picked the Blazers. Wilds wanted to do it but didn't have the stomach for it. But we all know inside that box it says Blazers in 7. We all know it. He just would never open it. And so, like, this idea that the Blazers never had a shot, I agree, but it's not what folks were saying 5 days ago.
But the one thing we do all agree on, Go ahead, Broussard.
I'm sorry.
Well, the one thing we all did agree on was that this wasn't a true 8 seed, right? This Blazers team felt like a 4 or 5 seed. After what you've seen the first couple games, were they an 8 seed after all, and we just got swept up in the Dame time and all the hoopla around Damian Lillard?
Broussard,
yes,
I
in
say
the
yes.
West, I mean,
I say, yeah.
the West is tough. You know, are they better than OKC? Are they better than Houston? You know, are they better than Utah?
Are they?
I mean, in the West, they're legitimate. I think anywhere from 5 to 8, those teams are similar. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see them be a 4 or 5 seed, but I'm not surprised to see them be an 8 seed. And I just think Nick is overstating this narrative shift. And I think people are, the narrative's not going to shift after the first round, Nick. It's still early, all right? The Lakers have a long ways to go. And who, besides Barkley, Greg Anthony, and Wilds, and I did put Wilds in the same sense with Charles Barkley.
Right there, great players.
Who was predicting? Who was predicting Portland?
I didn't predict.
Was winning this series?
Hold on, stop.